let's talk about this crazy market that we're seeing right now. Bitcoin has crashed below $10,000. Everybody's talking about it. Should you buy? Should you hold? Should you sell? And is it, a falling knife? Some people are talking about the idea of it being a scam, and everybody's realizing that now, and everybody's realizing that it has no intrinsic value. The bubble is popping. So let me go ahead and contribute my thoughts to all of this. First of all, it could be a falling knife. We don't know with something like Bitcoin. It's so volatile and has so little fundamental value compared to its price that it's always going to be difficult to identify where bottoms are. And the reason that I say that this is important to acknowledge is because the strategy I like to employ is I buy it on the way down. Now, they say you should never purchase a falling knife, and I agree with that. But the best thing I think you can do is, because you can't predict the bottom, and because we've seen Bitcoin bounce back from things like this exceptionally quickly. If we go back to this particular crash, this was on December 22nd. We came down to 10,400 or so. And then we came back up, wait for it, 60% in 36 hours. 60%, that is a lot. We went from 10,400 all the way up to 16,400. And we saw a similar situation for a moment here where we came down to 9,900 and then bounced back up to 12,200 in the course of 2 hours. So let me pull this back to the 1 hour candles, or it was a little longer than that. It looks like it was like 3 hours or so, but it happened very quickly. All right. So if there's one thing I've learned about Bitcoin here is that it doesn't take much for it to come back up. So I'm not going to try to predict the absolute bottom and put all of my capital there and hope that it comes down to that level and then bounces right back up. Because there could be two situations that happen. One is it never reaches that level, and then I never get to participate in this fall. And number two is it reaches that level and then goes down another 10-20%, and I'm in a world of pain because even though I lowered my cost average, it's even lower now. So here's what I did for this particular fall. First of all, I already bought Bitcoin back here during this December fall at 11,600. So I didn't have to buy any more in the 11,000s. And frankly, I didn't want to buy any more in the 10,000s either. So I didn't buy anything yesterday. But I did put an order in undercut 10,000. Now I know that sounds weird. Undercut just means that it's close to 10,000 but slightly under it. The reason I did this is because I've noticed a lot of times when Bitcoin goes below a certain $1,000 barrier, oftentimes it bounces back up. However, unfortunately, this did happen. Unfortunately, I missed it by 1%. I put my order in at 9,800 overcut. It came down to 9,925 or so, and then it bounced right back up by 20% in a couple hours. I mean, that was difficult. And this is something that happened last time as well, when Bitcoin crashed back in December. If you go back and watch my videos, I believe it bounced back to, I don't know, like 12,000 or so. This all happened in one candle, so it's hard to say here, but I wanted to buy in again at around that 11,000 area. It came down to 12,000 and then bounced back up to like 13, and everybody was saying you missed out on an opportunity. Well, it ended up working out in the end, and the same thing happened here. I was able to pick up some Bitcoin here at that 9,800 level. Of course, now I'm down on it, but I'm actually quite happy that I kept it in, because it's always going to be tempting to chase the price up when we see it recover like this, right? When we see it recover 20%, it's very difficult in just such a short period of time. It's difficult to not put an order in to chase price. So one of the important lessons from all of this is stick to your limit orders. Don't try to move them, because over and over and over again, I have found that when Bitcoin wants to fall, you sometimes are going to get the opportunity to buy it for fairly cheap because it has very extreme movements. Now, the next price at which I'm looking to purchase Bitcoin is 8,300. That's really where I'm looking to buy next, and I'm kind of doing that as a pretty high overcut of 8,000. 8,000 is a level that a lot of people are looking at because they've been looking at it for a long time. And you might be wondering, why are they looking at this $8,000 price level? And I wish I should have set this up beforehand. But There's a couple of reasons. Number one, Bitcoin's price has consolidated at that level in the past, meaning that it actually offers sort of a flatline resistance or support at that level. And then the second thing, support, my bad. The second thing is that most people like to look at the 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day moving averages for Bitcoin. Well, 8,000 is sitting right at that 200-day moving average. So it doesn't matter what kind of technical analyst you are. All technical analysts are looking at that $8,000 level. It's also important in Fibonacci retracements as well. So every single technical analyst is looking at 8,000. And I've seen this over and over and over again. So while I'm not huge on technical analysis, it doesn't matter what metric you're using. A lot of people are looking at that $8,000 level. I think it's a phenomenal level to get in. So that is going to be where I scale in the majority of my position for my cash. I mean, I'm going to have very little cash in my portfolio after 8,000. So we see it dropping right now. If it comes below 8,000, I'm not going to have a lot more cash to buy it. At that point, I'm just going to ride onto it. I'm going to hold, and we're going to see what happens. If it goes below 8,000, then it's going to be difficult for me as well. But see, what I found here, okay, and I'm probably going to make a separate video about this just because I think it's a good video idea, but I'm going to impart this knowledge to you right now. If you are struggling right now mentally with what we're seeing right now, if you are struggling in terms of emotions and being able to control yourself in dealing with the market coming down like this, you have way too many losses, you've lost thousands of dollars in the course of a day, maybe even more for some of you, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. For those of you that are in those positions, all I have to tell you right now, the secret to feeling calm in a situation like that, I think that's what I'm going to make the title of the video. The secret to being calm is really to scale your positions appropriately. If you don't feel calm in this particular environment, if this is something that makes you feel queasy and uncomfortable, and not that you're ever going to be able to feel maybe as comfortable as I do. I mean, I get excited when stuff like this happens, but for the average person, what you need to do to prepare yourself for situations like this is scale your positions correctly. Don't buy so much damn Bitcoin that you don't feel comfortable when it crashes down 25, 40%, because this is a regular event in the market. And if this is something that makes you feel exceptionally uncomfortable, it means that you scaled your positions incorrectly, or you measured your risk profile incorrectly. Let me tell you this much, it is the truth that for some people, this is not for them. Seriously, some people investing in Bitcoin is just not something they should participate in at all. They should have zero Bitcoin because they're not comfortable with it because it doesn't fit in their risk profile. So what I want everybody to realize right now, if you're realizing right now that your risk profile isn't as high as you think it is, then it might be time to either one, scale back your position, or two, when we next see a situation where Bitcoin comes up a lot, sell it off. All right, sell it off. Sell into one of these bounces like this that we saw back here where it went up to 12,000. Sell into that sort of a bounce, because even though I don't think it's a prudent financial decision, I'm not going to be doing it myself. It's going to make it so that you sleep easier at night. It's going to make it so that you don't have to check your phone as frequently at work. And just in general here, to me, this doesn't pain me to look at this chart. A lot of people, they can't even check their exchange numbers because they're scared to see the value of their portfolio. If that's you, then you just have way too much in this market. All right? You have way too much in this market. So I just wanted to impart that little knowledge bomb because a lot of people are struggling with it. In terms of the entire market, so if you look at this right here, the Bitcoin dominance figure is actually surprisingly low considering the catastrophic event that we're having right now. Let me go ahead and refresh this, see what happens to that dominance figure. So we're at 38% right now, and that was roughly the peak of what we saw yesterday as well. This is still relatively low, all things considered. I mean, I still, again, think it should come up to that 45 to 50% level. I didn't expect it to happen overnight, of course, but when you consider the scale of this drop, I mean, this is just a complete bloodbath. I really thought that Bitcoin dominance would come up a little faster than it is. So we'll see what happens with that. I still think this Bitcoin dominance figure is coming up to 45 to 50%. we'll see what happens over the next like 2 to 3 months. People keep evaluating my choice on that as if it was going to happen the next day. Obviously, these predictions aren't going to happen the next day, but I still think it's going to come up to 45 to 50%, and who knows, maybe in this scenario it does come up to that the next day. I hope it does, obviously, because I have a lot of my position in Bitcoin, because I think that's the right place to be allocated in this particular market. You'll note that if we compare things to Bitcoin across the board, with the exception of a few cryptocurrencies, Tether's not really an exception here. But if we look at a couple of other cryptocurrencies, you'll find a few that are up remarkably, but for the most part, almost all cryptocurrencies are down. It's a bloodbath. It's difficult. So I just wanted to impart this to everybody here. Stay in Bitcoin. This is a good time to buy. Look at that $8,000 level, because it is going to be by far, in my opinion, one of the most important levels that everybody is looking at. And it's also there's a lot of media around that level as well. I mean, even some of the mainstream, cryptocurrency media news outlets are talking about that $8,000 level. Again, doesn't matter what kind of technical analyst you are, everything lines up to that 8,000. It is a holy trinity of a level. So I want everybody to watch it. It's going to be an important level. I'm going to take a huge bet at that level. And I mean a huge bet. I'm going to take a huge risk there, and it's going to suck, obviously, if it doesn't play out. I'm not saying it's ever guaranteed that it plays out. Not financial advice, by the way. Seriously, it's not, but I know it's such a generic thing to say. But that $8,000, important level, everybody's watching it. I will buy a ton, and I mean a ton, of Bitcoin at that level, and I think that honestly, I would recommend to people that I know within my circle of friends to do the same, even if they're feeling uncomfortable with this. That's how much confidence I have behind it. So those are my thoughts for right now. This is an excellent opportunity. I already bought a small scale position now that we're in the 9,000s, but really what I'm looking at, the big kahuna, that's at 8,000. So that's what I'm watching for. Make sure you check out that level. Otherwise, as usual, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay calm. Don't panic too much in this market. This is a good opportunity. We've seen events like this happen. It's good for the market. It's healthy. It really makes people feel, it will add confidence to the market if we, or I should say if, because that's technically correct. I think it's going to be more of a when, but if we bounce back from this, it's going to add more confidence to the market. So as usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out my Steemit if you want to interact with me. There tends to be a lot less comments there, so I actually can keep up with things. My last video got over 1,000 comments, and I can't keep up with all of that, unfortunately. In addition to that, it's a lot less hectic here. A lot more people being analytical, a lot more people thinking about, is this the bottom? Is it going to go even lower? Is it a falling knife? Is this an opportunity? And people that are actually being analytical about this and calm. So make sure that you check out my Steemit if you're interested in that sort of thing. And then in addition to that, I want you to come over and check out my Twitter. This is a great opportunity for you to mock me if you haven't had the opportunity to do so in a video. To 23K, like you said, LOL explanation mark. Great platform for you to make tweets like that and other comments. So make sure you check out my Twitter. I tend to be a little bit more active on days like this just because of the fact that so much is happening. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, as usual, leave a like, comment, and subscription. Slam that bell icon, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Stay calm.